There were 106 penalties in the Premier League last season, with 25 of them failing to find the back of the net. 7 of them didn't even hit the target, which is just unforgivable for a professional footballer. But do you know what player has scored the most penalties for your club in the Premier League? Test your knowledge, and sure, if you get them all right, have a sandwich on us. Bournemouth. Callum Wilson. Somebody needs to go down to Bournemouth and drill into the players the importance of practicing penalties. They were awarded 10 last season, the highest in the division, but they've missed their last 3 spot kicks. Callum Wilson has scored 4 from 4, however, if only the man wasn't cursed when it comes to injuries. West Brom, Saido Berahino. Tony Pulis might spend every game screaming until his veins pop out of his head, but he might have a point sometimes. West Brom have not been awarded a penalty since September of last year. Saido Berahino is a name that the club are trying to forget ever existed, but he did manage to stick away 5 spot kicks during his time with the club, although the last 2 he took were in the same match, and yes, he missed them both. Swansea City, Gylfi Sigurdsson. It's probably no surprise that Gylfi Sigurdsson, arguably Swansea's finest player in recent years, has netted the most penalties. Not only does he terrify keepers from distance, but he scored all 6 of his top flight penalties for the club, pipping Wilfred Boney and Scott Sinclair, who had 5 each, before Man City came along and tried their best to ruin their careers. Burnley, Graham Alexander. The man was a 12-yard specialist. Who cares that he spent the best years of his career at Preston and Burnley? The right back scored 77 penalties during his career, with a success rate of 90%, so it's unsurprising that the then 37-year-old scored all 6 of his penalties during the 09-10 season for Burnley. Leicester City, Riyad Mahrez. It was interesting how Leicester City won the Premier League without having a defined penalty taker, with Riyad Mahrez sharing the duties with Jamie Vardy. The former was taken off them after missing 2 penalties in January 2016, costing the club 4 points in the process. However, he was back on spot kick duty last season, scoring 3 but also missing 2, so I'm guessing he won't be taking them at his next club. Watford, Troy Deeney. If you're a goalkeeper, one thing you don't particularly relish is having to face a Troy Deeney penalty. Smashing the ball with as much power as is humanly possible before bursting it. The Watford captain's technique seems to work for him. He's only missed 1 of his 10 Premier League penalties for the Hornets. Stoke City, Jonathan Walters. For a man who's taken 1 penalty in the last 3 seasons, it does seem quite strange to find Jonathan Walters in a list like this. Under Tony Pulis, however, he was Stoke's go-to penalty taker, and when he gets his effort on target, keepers are either helpless to save it, or they get their heads taken clean off their shoulders. However, when it goes wrong, let's just say not even the lads in row Z are safe. Crystal Palace, Andy Johnson. It's not often you'll find your record Premier League penalty scorer bag all his spot kicks in the same season. Manchester City, Sergio Aguero. This is where the numbers get serious. Sergio Aguero is the first world-class name to make the list. Sorry Johnny, and it's probably no surprise to learn that he's put away 18 penalties during his 6 years in England. With the likes of Jesus, Sané and Sterling racing at defences over the next couple of seasons, he's sure to get more opportunities. Tottenham, Teddy Sheringham. If Teddy Sheringham had not returned to White Hart Lane in 2001, then Robbie Keane's 16 penalties would see him sitting pretty for Spurs. But of course, the big man did return to North London and saw him reach 18 successful spot kicks for the club. Manchester United, Wayne Rooney. It's hard to believe, but it took Wayne Rooney 7 seasons and every trophy under the sun before he finally piped up and asked to take a Premier League penalty for Manchester United, netting against Arsenal in August 2009. Since then, he scored 18 more spot kicks to pip Ruud van Nistelrooy by just 1. That crossbar miss against Arsenal is starting to look more costly by the day, isn't it, Ruud? Everton, David Unsworth. What is it with Everton and giving penalties to their left backs? It seems to be a prerequisite at Goodison Park, considering that Michael Ball scored 8, Leighton Baines bagged 17, and David Unsworth 19, prolific from the penalty spot during his 2 spells on Merseyside. The spot kick he'll most be remembered for will be the one for Wigan that sent Sheffield United down 6 months after leaving them. Arsenal, Thierry Henry. Remember the days when Jose Mourinho used to moan about referees awarding Arsenal penalties like they were postcards? Alright, so he still does that. It was true that the Gunners received their fair share, with Thierry Henry putting away 23 of them, which included the final goal ever scored at Highbury. Just don't remind him or Robert Pires of this abomination. West Ham, Mark Noble. Julian Dix netted 13 penalties from left back for West Ham during the early 90s, but considering Mark Noble has been on spot kick duty for most of his 10 years in the first team, he was always going to top this list. The fact he's managed to put away 23, the same number as Henry, is impressive all the same. Southampton, Matt Le Tissier. Step forward, Mark Crossley, wherever you are, and take a bow, because you're the only man on God's green earth who knows what it feels like to save a penalty from Matt Le Tissier. The one club man scored 48 of his 49 career penalties, with 24 coming in the top flight. Liverpool, Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard has scored 32 Premier League penalties for Liverpool, and only 2 more human beings on planet Earth have stuck away more than him in the Premier League. His accuracy from the spot definitely improved with age, as demonstrated by the 10 he bagged during the 13-14 season, although he would probably like to wish that campaign never happened. Newcastle United, Alan Shearer. Who else? Alan Shearer, the Premier League record goal scorer with 260 goals, who the media keep reminding Harry Kane about, was absolutely clinical from 12 yards, netting 32 for Newcastle. Fittingly, his final ever goal was a penalty, in a black and white shirt, at the Stadium of Light. Arm raised aloft, classic Alan Shearer. Chelsea, Frank Lampard. When Frank Lampard drifted off to sleep during his career, he probably dreamed about goals. The man was obsessed with the back of the net. Chelsea's record goal scorer scored 41 penalties during his time at Stamford Bridge, and to think he was once bullied out of spot kick duties by an Italian madman. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.